Hello YouTube, Byron at Splitting Slices. Welcome back to the Knife and EDC channel. Today is Sunday, March 1st, 2026, and that means it is time to do a sub-collection video. Now, I haven't done one in several months, and so I thought it was time, based on the fact that Rosecraft has released several great traditional models already this year, that it was time to basically do my top 10 favorite Rosecraft blades. Now, we are only going to focus on their traditional knives. Now, Rosecraft Blades, again, is a company that started back in 2019, 2020 with a concept from the Rose family and Andy Armstrong. Andy Armstrong used to design some of the Rough Rider Reserve knives sold at other locations, and decided that he would go out on his own, found some investors and some additional knife designers, and started his own company. Now, for the last 4 years, he has been producing both modern folders, traditional pocket knives like you see on the table tonight, and also started a line of fixed blades. Currently, they have decided to pull back on the modern folder line, have suspended those operations, and now are focusing primarily on traditional pocket knives and fixed blades. And I think that that was a smart business move, as there are many companies out there making modern folders these days, but not a lot of companies out there that are producing quality traditional pocket knives at an affordable price point and a value proposition. And that is where Rosecraft Blades has shined over the last 3 to 4 years. So, the knives in contention are the ones that you see here on the table. These are each one a separate pattern or model number released by Rosecraft. It is not all of them. In fact, it's only about half of the models that they have released to date. They currently have 31 patterns that have been produced and released to the public, with more on the way. So we're going to start from the left side of the table, work our way across to the right. I've grouped them in size categories. So I have 5 smaller knives over here on the left side of the table. I have 4 what I would call their medium knives. And then finally, a pretty large array of what I would call their larger pocket knives. So I'm going to introduce each one of these knives in case this is the first time you've seen Rosecraft Blades, and you'll get an idea. We'll open up a few of them to show you the blades, but we're going to run down the line briefly of what is on the table. So the first model is model or pattern number 2. Now, Rosecraft names or numbers their knives in a 6-digit number series. RCT standing for Rosecraft Traditional, and then a 3-digit number by pattern. So this first knife is RCT002. From now on, I'm just going to give the number of the pattern. This is called the Zambezi. A nice little spear point style blade shape with a big finger choil. And since this is the first one and a unique one, we're going to go ahead and open it up. You can see it has a beautiful spear point compound ground blade of D2 steel, a really large finger choil, so that one, you can choke up on this knife quite a bit. If you have larger hands, you can actually have somebody with a big hand hold this knife and have enough handle length to cover all 4 fingers, but still be able to get good control on that blade. And it is D2 steel and beautiful sandalwood on this model. So this is the Zambezi, pattern number 2. The second smaller knife is the Beaver Creek Barlow. Now, this is pattern number 6, and they have produced this in several different configurations. This is probably my favorite in the barn board red jigged scales. The Beaver Creek Barlow. Third, pattern number 10, we have the Rosecraft Jack. Now, if I didn't mention it, Rosecraft names all of their traditional blades from the names of bodies of water in Tennessee, since it is a Tennessee home-based company. there is the Lusahachie Jack, pattern number 10. Beautiful clip point on that. 4, we have pattern number 21. This is the Sweetwater Creek Senator. Beautiful worn clip. In fact, we call that a lamb's foot style blade. Thinner at the tip, gets wider at the tang, and then a beautiful stag handle on this. This is the Sweetwater Creek Senator. And finally, we're going to round out our smaller knives with this recent release. This is pattern number 31, the latest of the Rosecraft patterns. This is the Barren Fork Jack in a beautiful denim micarta with a diamond shield, beautiful clip point blade, fuller nail nick, just a really nice equal-ended squared bolstered jack. Great in the hand, perfect 5th pocket size, the Barren Fork Jack. All right, let's get into our medium-sized knives. We have pattern number 5, the Clinch River Swayback. Now this is a really unique shaped knife. I know this is Tim's School of Fish favorite knife from Rosecraft to date. Beautiful Wharncliffe, almost like a half-hawk style blade on this. But a beautiful Wharncliffe style blade with a swedge, a nail nick, a fingered choil, and then a swayback bone handle on this one. Again, this is the Clinch River Swayback, pattern number 5. All right, our next one is a beautiful little French-inspired knife. Beautiful sandalwood, I believe, on this one. This is pattern number 7, the French Broad Jack. And this is, I think, for me, their most elegant, their most classy looking gentleman's carry knife to date. Beautiful Wharncliffe style blade, full swedge running from mid-spine down to the tip, nail nick, and just a very slim, very curvy wood scaled handle shape on this with the rosebud shield, the French Broad Jack. Next, we have the Stinking Creek Sow-Belly Stockman. Now, this is only a single-bladed Stockman, but it is after that original traditional pattern. It gets the name Sow-Belly from that large downward angled blade handle shape and a nice upswept Persian-style blade on this with a little bit of recurve. This is the Stinking Creek Sow-Belly, pattern number 23 in the line. And finally, our last medium-sized knife, we have pattern number 25. This is the Lick Creek Loom Fixer. A nice, again, almost a Wharncliffe or a sheep's foot style, and there's honestly a slight curve in that, so really kind of approaching a half-hawk style blade. But let's call it a sheep's foot at this point. Beautiful blade, nail nick, again, a swedge that runs almost 2/3 the length of the blade. And then the upswept, sway-backed handle with a diamond shield and a beautiful sandalwood, I believe it is, scales on this one. The Lick Creek Loom Fixer, pattern 25. All right, now we're going to start into the larger knives. The first one on the table is pattern number 3, the RCT003 Appalachian Jack. Just a really nice looking California clip style blade. Beautiful swedge, little bit of belly in that blade with a slight recurve on that clip point. And the unique part of this knife is it's based on an old work knife that had a pry bar on the end. So it has a small pry, really good work knife. This is pattern number 3, the Appalachian Jack. All right. Now we get into one of the largest knives of the series to date. This is pattern number 8, the large river bend skinner. A beautiful upswept clipped style blade, saber ground, nail nick in the middle. Lots of belly on that blade for doing skinning work, but this is what you would call, say, a bow trapper type pattern from yesteryear. This is the river bend skinner, large, pattern number 8. Next is pattern number 11. This is the Nolichucky Jack, a beautiful knife. Let's open this one up. Spear point blade. It's a bellied spear with a slight bit of recurve. Beautiful fuller nail nick in this, halfway down the blade. The other half is swedged to the tip. This is the stag handled version, so beautiful pinned stag covers make this knife up. Absolutely no gaps in the springs or the integral faux bolster design. Single flute on that bolster. Just a really nice full-handled knife. Spear point, can't go wrong. Pattern number 11, the Nolichucky Jack. Now we get into some of the great value propositions that this company offers. These knives, the next 3 run about $70 and are 2-bladed, and big blades they are. This is pattern number 12, the Briarpatch Jack. It has a beautiful clip point blade with a peaked or pooned clip, nail nick on the back half of the blade, swedge from midpoint down to the tip. Beautiful little bellied and with a slight recurve on the clip point. That is blade 1. Blade 2 is a beautiful lamb's foot. Lamb's foot Warncliffe. There you go. The Briarpatch Jack. 2-bladed knife, large, and a great value for the money on this one. Now, if you want a knife that's just a little bit longer with blades and has a cant or a downward angle to the blades, look no further than the Mosquito Lake Moose. This is pattern number 16. Beautiful clip point blade on this side. If we turn the knife over, we have a beautiful spear point blade. Swedged, fuller nail nicks on both, and a cant downward to make it easier for drawing utility cuts. This is the Mosquito Lake Moose. Getting down to our last 3, we have the next knife, pattern number 19. This is the Cockleburr Creek Trapper. 2-bladed knife, beautiful California style clip point blade with a swedge down the 2/3 of the blade length of the knife to the tip. Slight little belly and recurve on that blade. Beautiful sandalwood style covers. If we turn the knife over, we get our infamous spay blade on a trapper style pattern. So there is the Cockleburr Creek Trapper, pattern number 19. Okay, our last 2. Here we go. A very traditional classic pattern. Some companies call it a side buster. Rosecraft calls it the Overall Creek Farmhand. This is pattern number 22, based on a side buster style type knife, farm and field, if you will. The Overall Creek Farmhand. Beautiful clip point blade, nail nick center of the blade, and I can just get 4 full fingers on that handle. About a 3-inch long blade, about a 4-inch long handle. The overall, the Overall Creek Farmhand. Pardon me. All right, I am going to go ahead, pause the video. I will be right back. All right, thanks, folks. Now for the final knife of the evening. Well, kind of. We'll get into that here in a second. I have the final knife on the table. This is the 17th pattern I am showing tonight. It is pattern number 26. This is the beautiful Cumberland River Coke Bottle or Swell-Centered Jack. Has what I would call a Lanny's type clip. Beautiful peak midway down the spine of the knife. And then you have that upswept clip point, bellied clip, comes straight back to the tang. Beautiful swell in the center of the knife. Just gives this knife a beautiful feel in the hand, and one heck of a good looking clip point blade. One of my favorites. Hint, hint. This is the final knife on the table. Again, pattern number 26, the Cumberland River Coke Bottle. All right, I am going to pause the video for just a second, get a drink, and then we are going to pick 10 knives out of this pile and talk briefly about why they are my favorites. Stay tuned. All right, my 10 favorite Rosecraft blades. Here we go. I have a tie for 10th. Sorry, guys, it's the only way I can slide in 11 knives, but it really is a tie because it depends on what I'm looking for out of the knife, why it's in number 10. I am going to pick either the overall Creek Farmhand or the French Broad Jack. Both of these knives are deserving of in my top 10. One is just probably the classiest gentleman's knife that you could carry, released to date from Rosecraft. The other is just a great working man's knife. Beautiful handle shape, very comfortable in hand, a nice blade that cuts well. These are my top 10th place knives. I've got to give it basically a tie for these two knives. Again, this is the French Broad Jack and the overall Creek Farmhand. Beautiful knives. All right, number 9. Number 9 is going to be Tim School of Fish's favorite Rosecraft. It only made it to number 9 in mine list. This is the Clinch River Swayback. Beautiful burnt orange scales, which is one reason I love it. Good looking color on this. The other is just both a unique shaped knife, that 50-50 finger choil, and a beautiful grip for this knife. This knife feels so good in hand, trying to make purposeful draw cuts with that tip. It really is almost a half-hawk style blade shape on this. It is number 9, the Clinch River Swayback. Beautiful knife. Number 8. I'm going value proposition as well as feel in the hand on this one. This is the Cockleburr Creek Trapper. 2-bladed knife. Great price tag on this one. Has a beautiful bellied clip point blade as well as that secondary spay blade to use for either smearing peanut butter or, hey, if you are a stockman or you are a cowboy, you know what that blade was used for. Either way, it's a great blade in hand. You do not feel that second blade very much, even when you squeeze hard on this knife. So the hand feel on this one is great for a 2-bladed knife. That is the Cockleburr Creek Trapper in number 8. Wow. Number 7. What's it going to be? Number 7. I tend to lean into the bigger knives, guys. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to put a couple of these off to the side here so we got room for everything. All right, where were you at? Number 7. Number 7, I got to go with the Briarpatch Jack. Pattern number 12. This is that beautiful 2-bladed knife with that clip point blade and the lamb's foot. Gives you 2 very utilitarian blade shapes, nice big handle, get a full finger grip on that knife. Now, I will say you do feel this one in the hand a little bit if you squeeze down. You can feel the peak of that clip point blade right there in your fingers if you mislocate it. So, from a hand feel standpoint, that's why it's down the list. But it's up the list as far as in my top 10 due to its value proposition and just a nice big knife. The Briarpatch Jack at number 7. All right, number 6. Number 6 is pattern number 31, the one that was just released. This is one of my favorite knives they have produced to date for all the right reasons. This is the Barren Fork Jack. First of all, it's a smaller knife. Has a beautiful bellied clip point blade. I love the squared off bolsters with the single flute and the diamond shield. Now, I've picked up a second one of these in the red jigged bone. I'm looking forward to receiving that one. I think that one looks even better than this micarta version, but just a really good 5th pocket carry, one of the smaller knives, the Barren Fork Jack. All right, halfway there. We're at number 5. I got to go with the Mosquito Lake Moose. I like this one a little better than the Briarpatch. Why? Even though you've got 2 utilitarian blades on it, I like the downward cant for the draw cuts on both of these blades. And not only do you have that beautiful clip point, but you also have that swedge spear point. Just one of the best utility shapes ever. And again, with that downward cant, makes it an excellent work cutter. Beautiful big knife, the Mosquito Lake Moose. At number 5. Number 4. Number 4. Oh, probably one of the best feeling knives in the hand to date that they've come out with. And quite frankly, I think my favorite scale design to date as well. The Cumberland River Coke bottle. Look at that toasted white bone. Just turned out beautiful. Toasted marshmallows right there. Great Lanny's clip type blade, bellied, slight recurve on that clip point, and just a beautiful feel in hand. That feels so good cutting with this knife. It is definitely one of my favorites. Number 4, the Cumberland River Coke bottle. Down to 3. Down to 3. I've really eaten up most of the larger knives, but we still have some left. What are my top 3 going to be? Well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to pick my favorite large knife, my favorite work knife, and my favorite small pocket carry. 5th pocket carry. Where do we go? Let's go to number 3. I'm going to pick my favorite 5th pocket small knife carry. It has got to be the Rosecraft Blades Beaver Creek Barlow. And this is one of their beautiful models in the red barn board jigged. But I like this knife so much as a small pocket carry. I don't just have one. I have a couple more. I picked this knife up in the gray bone and in that bourbon orange, bourbon brown bone. And I believe this was a limited run, an exclusive run at Traditional Pocket Knives, I believe. So they've also did a Nolichucky Jack in this, which I did not get, and I'm shooting myself for it. So there you go. My favorite 5th pocket carry from Rosecraft, number 3. Pattern number 6, the Beaver Creek Barlow. Last 2. How about the favorite work knife? My favorite work knife goes all the way back to, I believe, the very first knife they released out of the traditional line. It is the classic now, Appalachian Jack. Got a clip point knife you can't beat for both penetration and draw cuts. And that pry bar on the end, that little stubby pry bar, there's no need to carry a separate pry bar. If you have that, it opens up paint cans, open up stain cans. I do cabinetry work now as a retired engineer, and it just works fantastic for me as a work knife. My favorite traditional work knife from Rosecraft to date, number 2, the Appalachian Jack. All right, down to my favorite. What's the favorite knife? My favorite Rosecraft blade pattern released to date. You know, we got 2 large knives there on the table, but we got a couple nice medium ones too. I know if this was Thrifty Kniffy, I have a feeling I know which one he might pick. He likes sow bellies. Of course, I know what Slippy'd pick, but I don't think I have that knife on the table. My favorite Rosecraft model released to date has got to be this classic version of the spear point jackknife. It is the 01Mar26 Jack. Why is this my favorite knife? It is my favorite knife because, one, it is a large knife. Two, it's one of the most comfortable knives in hand that they have produced yet. I get full 4-finger grip on the handle. I get a beautiful swedged, bellied spear with oh so slight recurve. I mean barely a recurve back to the tang. You've got a nice, easily accessible fuller nail nick to open it with, a beautiful swedge for penetration into bags, into boxes, whatever you may have to cut. Easy to do draw cuts with that bellied spear. Easy to do shaving work if you have to. I can score wood with it. I can do just about any EDC task I need to do with this flat ground, fully flat ground spear point blade in these stag handles. Look at the chunks of stag on this. This particular model or version of the 01Mar26 is thick in hand, and I really love the feel of this. This is my favorite knife released to date from Rosecraft. I not only own one of them, I have picked up several of them, including the original release that came in this beautiful, I believe they called it moss brown bone, but it's actually a green, like a mossy green shade. They have also released this color in a jigged handle scale. I do not own that one, but I know where I can still pick one up. I'm keeping that a secret. Traditional Pocket Knives released it in an exclusive bourbon orange bone handle, and then this beauty came out as well at Traditional Pocket Knives, and this is the jigged version of that bourbon orange and singed scale. And this one feels just about as nice as the stag and also looks oh so sweet. My favorite pattern to date from Rosecraft Blades is this classically designed spear point blade, the 01Mar26 Jack. And folks, that's going to do it for me. I hope you enjoyed this sub-collection share of my Rosecraft Blades. And I don't think I have them all in camera here, so let's go ahead and try to get them all back. Got a few extras in there. Not that the knives left on the table there is anything whatsoever wrong with them. Again, these are personal preferences based on use, size, ergonomics, the value proposition, and my favorites. So there you go. Thanks for joining me tonight on the channel. I am filming this Sunday evening. I hope you have an excellent week. This is Byron from Splitting Slices saying, yeah, this was a long one, but thanks for sticking with me. And until my next video, everybody please take care.